Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It is 2:15. I'm in Mountain Standard Time, so that's what time it is here. My name is Kristina Pulsipher, and I am going to be your moderator today. So thank you for joining us for Fostering Recovery with Stephen Knight. Just a little bit of information about this session. Stephen Knight is our CNN Hero of the Year of 2025. He is also the founder and executive director of Matter, a groundbreaking program that provides temporary foster care to pets while their owners undergo addiction recovery treatment. By offering a compassionate solution for individuals facing one of the toughest challenges of their lives, Dogs Matter ensures that beloved pets remain safe and cared for while their owners work towards sobriety. This session is perfect for those passionate about animal welfare, addiction recovery, and community support. So my name is Kristina Pulsipher. I am a co-founder and co-executive director of Ruff Crisis Sheltering. We are located in Salt Lake City. We are a crisis sheltering organization. We do a lot of other pet support programs, pet food pantries, free grooming, vaccination, mobile outreach, things like that. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know Stephen over the past few years. I think we met in person at the Best Friends Conference a while ago. And we also participate in a national monthly call for crisis sheltering organizations. And so if anyone is interested in joining that, we would love to have you. We talk all things unique about this kind of programming and supporting keeping pets with their families. So feel free to shoot me over a message. If you have any questions, please use in your Whova app the Q&A section. That is what we are going to be going off of for questions versus the chat. You can still chat and speak and communicate with each other, but we will be using the Whova section. And then let me read Stephen's profile, and then we are going to turn it over for a short presentation, and we will also have a Q&A section. All right, Stephen Knight is the founding executive director of Dogs Matter, an organization he launched in 2015 to provide temporary fostering for dogs while their owners undergo inpatient addiction treatment. Since its inception, Dogs Matter has helped over 1,700 dogs and their owners stay together, offering a second chance at life and recovery. For Stephen, this mission is deeply personal. A person in long-time recovery himself, he will celebrate 14 years clean and sober this year, which is amazing. In addition to leading Dogs Matter, he serves as a substance use counselor, supporting individuals with HIV and substance use disorders. With over 25 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, Stephen is committed to expanding Dogs Matter into a national model program, ensuring that no one has to choose between getting help and keeping their beloved pet. His dedication to this cause earned him the prestigious 2024 CNN Hero of the Year award. Stephen lives in Dallas, Texas with his 3 dogs, Jade, Piper, and Lady, who inspire his unwavering passion for rescuing lives, both human and canine. So we'll turn it over to Stephen.
I'm going to start by letting everybody meet Jade. And you'll know this is the reason why I started Dogs Matter. So I just wanted everybody to say hi to Jade. About 13 years ago, I got a knock on the door and this little face was here and I was in recovery. I was struggling really hard. And I saw this little face and I had a life that was I'd done a lot of wreckage too. And emotionally, I was barely hanging on. Didn't have a lot of purpose. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was 51 years old and looked in this dog's eyes and she automatically gave me purpose and hope. And a friend of mine had relapsed and she said, can you help me help me take Jade down to the shelter? I need to surrender her. And I said, absolutely not. I will take Jade. It was exactly what I needed, and I got the idea of Dogs Matter. So anyway, I want to say hi to Jade, and then we can go ahead and Vicky, we're going to start what we'll do. I have a short presentation of some slides, and then I just really want to talk to you guys and have questions and have conversations about what we do and the population we serve and the ability to keep families together. Okay, so here, I'm going to put Jade down. You can lay down now. She's like, I was taking a nap. She was kind of mad. All right, so we can go to the next slide. All right, so what we're gonna do today, I'm talk a little bit about the history of Dogs Matter, our mission, the need for temporary fostering programs is so huge. The components of a temporary foster program talk about community. It's about community and partnerships and needed services. Talk a little bit about the challenges and rewards of a temporary foster program, and maybe the next steps of anybody that's interested in fostering a temporary foster services in your community, or just helping somebody that may have some of these issues one day. And we'll have a Q&A. All right, next slide. Right, so what, like I said, when right there's a picture of Jade and Lady. It's was actually a foster fell. I got sober in 2011. I got Jade in 2012. I got the idea about Dogs Matter. I was early on in sobriety. I was also going to school to be a substance abuse counselor. So I kind of slowly, implemented Dogs Matter. So about 2 years after the idea, I basically was, I mean, this is as grassroots as you can get. I was like, I'm gonna put a little program together. I want to help another addict, because in recovery, it's about helping addicts is about keeping us sober. So I wanted to help a few addicts a year by taking care of their dog, and I got my friends and anybody that would say yes to be on my board. I didn't care. I just wanted to put together a nonprofit. I did the paperwork, and 2015 we started our program, and that year we did about 20 dogs and their owners, and I thought that's way too many. It was a lot, and that was like a big year, and then it just started growing and growing, and now in 2024, well, let's just say right now we're getting close to 2,000. By June, we'll hit 2,000 dogs and their owners, and the need is so huge, and we could serve probably another, 2,000 if we had the foster families in the resources. And then the great thing about us, here I am. I am background of human services. I was a school teacher. I worked 25 years in working with the underserved populations, homelessness, the runaway youth in Hollywood, the welfare to work programs, but I knew nothing about dogs. Jade was my first dog, but I still had the passion. So I really kind of finally went around and wanted to find some experts. And then in 2023, well, actually about 2022, I had a meeting with Dallas Pets Alive, and I said, hey, maybe we could, you can help me out with the fostering part, and I can work on the human part, and you guys can teach me about the fostering part. Anyway, the partnership went really, really well, and went so well that we decided that we would merge, like literally merge together. So we are now, Docs Matter is under the umbrella, under the nonprofit of Dallas Pets Alive, which actually allows me to do what I love to do, which is be out and do the program and not worry about my own board and not worry about the infrastructure, because Dallas Pets Alive had been around a lot longer. They had a huge infrastructure, a really big board, and it wasn't just my friends. And so I was I say that because I think there's a lot of organizations out there that may be good partnerships and may be good to work together. Okay, next slide. All right, so our mission is to provide a safe and healthy temporary foster environment for pets who are recovering addicts, alcoholics during treatment. We ensure the welfare of the pet while the owner receives the needed treatment to get healthy. We reunite after successfully completing the treatment and ready to stay healthy and be a responsible pet owner. We provide a safety net for both the pet and the owner during the first 12 months after completing treatment in our aftercare program, which I think kind of our aftercare program, which I'll talk a lot more about, because that's kind of sets us aside, I think, from any other program out there, is that we really are committed to being the safety net of the dog after, because we know in recovery is when you get out of rehab and get your life together is when the work starts. So my thing is that I want to make sure this dog is safe, and I want to make sure the client is staying healthy. So I created an aftercare program, which I'll talk more about here in a minute. All right, next slide. All right, so here I'm going to give you an example of what we do by one of our clients. In 2021, I was lucky enough to get on the Kelly Clarkson show, and we part of the interviews, we got to bring on the client and her dog and talk about her experience. So I'm going to share that with you guys. It's a couple minutes long.
Now I want to introduce you to Camille and her dog Harley. Hi. Harley is ready to go, ready for action. So you turned to Dogs Matter is it 2016? 2016 when you entered rehab. So what was that whole process like?
So I had two boxers then, Harley and Rocco. At that point, I had already literally lost everything in my life. My family, my kids. And so when I contacted Stephen, I wasn't really willing to let them go. You know, it was literally all I had.
Yeah, it's so much loss.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to be together because they were brother and sister, been together since they were puppies. And Stephen made that happen. I remember being on the phone with him, and he made it really clear to me that, you know, basically if I didn't get sober and get healthy, that I wasn't going to get my boxers back, you know. And that really put it in perspective for me. And so they went to Dogs Matter, and I went to California to treatment, and he took care of them the whole time.
Wow. So, well, congratulations, because it's now, is it 5.5 years that you've been sober? That's amazing. That's really amazing. So what was it like when you were reunited with Harley and Rocco?
Well, it was after about 4 or 5 months, I think, and they were in Texas. And so we found a nonprofit that would transport them here because I didn't really want to put them on a plane by themselves. And so I remember going and looking at them through the truck, and I could tell they could see me, but when they got back down out of the truck, they were all over me. And God really blazed a trail for me to get sober. And Dogs Matter was like at the very beginning of that trail, you know? So I was telling them earlier, like I could literally write a book on all the blessings that I've had in these 5.5 years, but it started with Stephen and his organization. I wouldn't have what I have today without them.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Well, she's the reason why.
I'm not sure why it stopped, but we can stop there. It was
We
the
do
main
not
part of the
matter.
session. Oh,
This is the reason why we do it. When people, take advantage of the program and get their life together, we always say, we'll take care of your best friend while you take care of yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Well, and it's funny, like, we were talking in commercial break. I have many friends actually sober now, and they have animals too. You don't think about it. Like, Kathy, do you have friends that have been through that have animals? I've never really thought about that. Like, what do they do if they don't have family, you know?
Well, the first thing I do is they use that as a crutch.
Yeah.
And kept
Yeah.
prolonging and
Yeah.
unfortunately.
It's all the time. And I work in the industry, and so that's one of the main things that we hear probably, I would say 50% of the time, like, I have dogs, I can't leave my dogs.
But we didn't have any place in LA like
Right.
you have.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
It was
That's what
trying
I'm
to
saying.
find
It's
a
such
friend.
a brilliant thing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
all right. So that's the reason why we do Dogs Matter, and Camille's just one of, over 1,000 people that do it. So we can go to the next slide.
Now I want.
So of course the stats and we know that there's because you guys from the rescue community, that there's almost 87 million households that have pets. And my thing is that, like, people don't realize when the pet is part of the family and there's a crisis in the family, that pet needs to be acknowledged and be what's the plan and what's going to happen with the pet. So many times we don't think about the pet. And I think that's why it's so important that this inclusiveness and keeping families together also means the pet. I think sometimes it's almost too late and they're like, oh, what about my pet? And my goal is to really put that up, in front. Addiction, of course, we specialize in addiction, is an epidemic in our nation. Over 100,000 people die from overdoses each year. But we also find out people who are able to have their pet be a part of their recovery treatment have a higher rate of obtaining long-term sobriety. And Dogs Matter has collected data that shows that 73% of our clients stay sober after 12 months compared to the national average of 38%. We also have data that shows pets have a significant effect with healing from PTSD, trauma, depression, anxiety. Next slide. The next slide. Because there's a lot that they do, dogs provide emotional support, obviously, stress reduction, grounding and mindfulness, social interactions and connection, physical activity, safety and structure, routine and structure, trust and attachment. That's really good for somebody in recovery. That if they can get all this from a dog and plus the structure, that's why our percentage of people staying sober, if they have their pet, it's really part of their treatment. and that's why my goal is to formalize this even in our I meet with treatment centers saying, let's talk about the dog as part of the treatment plan as well. Next slide, please. The pets reduce the risk of relapse because the research has shown that individuals who have a pet may be less likely to relapse, possibly because of the responsibility and the emotional connection associated with the pet. Ownership can contribute to a healthier lifestyle. It's important to know. Now, one thing that I don't want to get the message out, because I don't want people to think, oh, I'm going to go get sober and get a dog. That's going to keep me sober. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about if you have a pet, we want to help you keep that pet. So I do believe that there's a time in your recovery that you're good. So it's important to know that owning a pet is a significant commitment. Individuals in recovery should consider the ability to care for a pet responsibly, whether they have the time, the resources, and support to do so. If a client is responsible enough to have the time and the commitment for a pet, is recommended foster first, then adopt. Next slide. There we go. Now, the components of our temporary foster program is that we start out with an application that has information, very, very detailed information about the pet and the human. We do everything from are you working, what's your income, what's your history, and everything with the pet. And then we do it. Then we actually do a phone call. We're not going to, it may be an email, but we have to have a conversation and do an assessment over the phone, measures for the fostering were the right fit, and to verify that the person is going to go to treatment. Then we put the dog in and we approve the dog, and they go into our temporary foster program process that Dallas Pets Alive is helping us run, and we're matching the pets with the appropriate foster homes. Then with each person, the contract, the client signs a contract, is very detailed, and they're responsible for certain things. And if they leave, they go MIA in treatment, or they go off and they continue to use, then that breaks the contract. And we have the right, we don't say rarely do we not give the dog back, but we have the right to get the dog back when we feel like they're healthy again. Now, in some cases, legally, we would have the right, and we have maybe 10% of the time we will keep that dog. Because my thing is, I'm not going to enable you to go out and do drugs and get high while we take care of your dog. But we are there for relapses. We're there to help them. But there's a point of, are we enabling them to continue this behavior? And that leads us to the reunification and the preparing for the reintegration of the pet and the human once they leave and they're healthy enough. And our thing is that hey, the dog's going to be healthy. And by the time they get that pet back, they're going to have all the vaccinations. They're going to be spayed and neutered. And we're going to also help them, with that road the next 12 months in our aftercare program, which is ongoing assistance for recovery and pet ownership. Next slide. So our aftercare program is like I said, is pretty unique. And what is so special about it is that it is led by a peer support recovery coach. And I'm a counselor. And so I think we're successful because we create a relationship with that person, a peer recovery coach. When an application comes in, that peer recovery coach knows that application from the beginning all the way to the end. That means they have that client and the pet, and they're the point person. They're talking to that person. They're getting them comfortable. They're developing a relationship. And then during treatment, they're checking in. They get that it's important that we get on an ROI, which is a release of information while they're in treatment, so they can call us and they can check on each other. But we want to be a part of the discharge plan. So the recovery coach and usually the counselor at the treatment center, we all have a good idea, because a lot of times, like, oh, I'm going to go do this and this and this, and the treatment center is saying, oh, we kind of recommend maybe you go to sober living or you do this next level. We're like, great, okay, we'll extend the contract, whatever is best for the client. So that's one of the things that I think that really helps us in the aftercare program, is really being able to establish the trust and the care for that we've been there. Our peer recovery coaches, I've been there, and I think that's what really sets us up, is that if you're going to do this, bring in people that have the expertise that have been there, and I think you'll build better relationships and have better retention, and then you'll have better success at the end. Okay, next slide. The main thing is about community and building partnerships, engaging in the recovery community. You know, that's where I think, as we know in this world about the ability to really be successful, is that you know, in a fostering community, there's foster families, they're everywhere, and they're already taken up. So we engage in the recovery community because that's a place that they're like, oh, they want to help another addict. So we really engage in the recovery community as far as our getting fosters and getting their support and getting referrals and maybe helping our client get a sponsor type thing. We collaborate with the pet rescue community at the same level with, you know, the expertise of helping them with. We have trainers that come in, they'll do workshops with our clients on training your dog and how much to feed your dog. You'll be surprised when we get the dogs back, then they get food, they have food that we provide them, like, here, have a free range bag of food, and that dog gains 15 pounds in 2 months, you know. So they, a lot of times they kind of treated that dog like themselves and a human, and they don't know really how to take care of the dog properly. So we really work with the collaboration, the pet rescue community. And of course the volunteer and corporate engagement to get that support. And I think that when you know, there's so much representation with us that I think it's amazing the support that we have received. Okay, next slide. The challenges and the rewards. The challenges are finding reliable foster families, as probably everybody knows, it's in the rescue community, and the funding and resources. It was hard for us because people are like, are you a risk? Are you about treatment and recovery? Are you in the animal services? And it's hard to find grants that you know, that kind of fit both. So that's been a challenge, but they're out there. Managing placement, reunions, transitions, and relapses. What do you do when a client relapses? They need our services again. Well, we do get second chances, but only if they're going to do A, B, and C, and we will do a stricter contract the next time because they got to know. It's like, if you continue to relapse, then we want to probably need to rehome your dog. The rewards are saving lives, you know, both the humans and the pets. You know, that's, I mean, and you see that, and in a minute you'll see some of our reunion videos. There's just nothing better than knowing that you're keeping a family together, and we're literally saving lives. We have clients that are detoxing from fentanyl because they're waiting to get their dog somewhere. And you know, the second we get them, we've had people, you know, that get straight into treatment, or some end up in the hospital at first. So literally we are saving lives, not only the life of the human, but the pets too, because a lot of our pets would end up in the shelter and probably be euthanized if they, especially down here in Texas. And so there's such a trickling effect of the rewards of it. And we're strengthening the recovery journey. Our people are staying sober. Our people are getting jobs. We have people coming that start off being homeless. They're picking up their dogs that are now working, and they're paying rent, and they're sober, and now some of them are fostering for us. And it's a great way to get self-sufficient. And we're building compassionate communities and teaching people how to give second chances and what's done about. Okay. Next slide. So, how to implement a fostering service in your community, if you're thinking about that, and if you want to add it on to what your existing program, or you just find somebody that that needs the help. And a lot of times, if you engage in the 12-step groups to talk about what your needs are, and talk about, hey, we would love for some of you guys in this 12-step group to be a foster, to help us foster. We also work with the treatment centers. Alumni groups are always looking to volunteer and help out. That's a good way to get foster families or get volunteers from. Neighborhood groups that really specialize in pets, and of course your local pet and rescue shelters. So if you have an idea, like I was more or less, like I said, I was more human oriented with my professionalism and my talents, that when I went to the shelters to ask for help and everything, that's where we formed a really great partnership and learned how to implement my fostering part of it. One of the things we're working on is trying to get kennels on properties of treatment facilities, and we got a little bit of leeway. We're talking to these treatment centers and saying, hey, have you seen some of these treatment centers that have all this land and they have these lakes and pools? It's like, build a kennel and we'll help you. We'll help you with the dogs. We'll help you provide, training and making sure that you're doing this for the dogs. So we're beginning to do that, which is really great. Sober living houses that take pets. Of course, Kristina and anybody that does this, and that's our biggest thing. If a person could take their dog to sober living, we would not need fosters. And they would get their dogs back so much. But we're making headway. then there's a lot of responsibility. The landlord's really like, we don't want pets, and and they, because there's a lot of legalities, and because they're ESA dog, I mean, for some reason, sober living doesn't have to take them. It's up to the landlord. However, but if you start developing relationships with sober living places, and we're growing in the area, that's a good place for them to go to. And of course, start your own foster program. Is if you're into it, that's what I did. I say, look at all these partnerships you're looking at and try to get the community involved. But it's never, if anybody's even beginning to think about it, come join us on our monthly meetings and we'll help you guide you through. Okay, next slide.
Stephen, I did want to let you know we have 5 minutes left, and we don't have any questions in the Q&A yet, but I did want to just see if there's anyone else, but also we can move to the next slide and send questions later.
The last slide, and then we'll just kind of open it up for discussion and any questions. Okay, this is what we do and why we do it.
Water rolling on through treetops, moving, world keep spinning, got me thinking about you. Oh, it's a long time coming, been a long time since I seen the sunlight, got me thinking about you, baby. Oh, can we just start over? Can we just rewind? Take me to the place where I surrounded by a light. Can we just start over? Can we just rewind? Take me to the place where I surrounded by a light. Singing, ooh.
Okay, their biggest barriers have turned into their biggest motivators. That's kind of what we're about. We have like 3 minutes. Sorry, I thought I was going to get through a little bit faster.
Yeah, we don't have any questions in the chat. I have a question, since we don't have any really quick. You have a very unique program, I feel like, comparatively to a lot of other crisis fostering that are very short term. For instance, our max is 90 days. You will do up to a year. How do you find fosters that are willing to keep pets in their home for that length of time and, are really able to make that kind of commitment?
Yeah. So, most of the time with our aftercare program, they have already taken the dog back. So usually it's still 30 to 90 days. And but some of these programs, some of the veteran programs, some of the programs are up to 12 months. Some of the jail programs are going to be going, and it's tough. Sometimes we have to switch fosters if they signed up for 90 days and then they need to go back and they said, I only can do this, or I'm going to be traveling. So sometimes we do have to switch out fosters, but we try to give as much time for that preparation for that change. But most of our 12 months with them, we're hoping that that's going to be hopefully with the dog. Sober living, sometimes if they choose to go to sober living and they can't take the dog, then of course that's at least another 3 months. When you go to sober living, you're not just going to go for 2 or 3 weeks. You're probably going to 3 months. Some like to stay longer. So in that case, we do need to kind of look at it and maybe possibly get another foster.
Thank you. I think that's helpful for people, because this is a very unique sort of fostering, as we know. We call our program the foster sitter, because it's a pet sitter foster hybrid of that. And, you just have to know that these animals are most likely going to go back to their people, that you can't, adopt them, but that's very rewarding, as those videos show, to see. There's really nothing like it. Adoptions are amazing and wonderful and feel good, but having them recognize their person and their human, sometimes it takes like a split second, and then it's just pure love and joy, and it's always very heartwarming. So thank you, Stephen, so much for everything that you do for the pet community, the recovery community. You're really making a difference, and I think getting this kind of programming, giving it a national stage is so important to everyone that does this work. And I know that you are always very willing to talk to people. I did put in the chat the link to our monthly crisis fostering group, and again, we have a lot of resources in that. We have Google Drive, as well as we just talk all things this kind of stuff and funding and how do you deal with a situation, or if you had this happen, and it's really great. So thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.